All right, let's take a look at how we can use the mountains, hills, and rocks strategy to help us find missing start time. Our word problem says, Theo came home from an exciting day at the library at 4:17 p.m. He had spent 3 hours and 43 minutes there looking at magazines about chickens. What time did Theo arrive at the library? Okay, like always, the first thing we're going to do is find the important information. And the first piece of important information I have is this right here, 4:17 p.m. Okay, now p.m. here, that stands for in the evening or in the afternoon. Okay, so we're gonna label that as afternoon.
We're looking at an analog and a digital clock. We can see that 4:17, our hour hand is pointing between the 4 and the 5, so it's inside of the 4 o'clock hour. And our minute hand is just a couple minutes past the 3. Each of these numbers represents 5 minutes, so 5, 10, 15, 16, 17. And over here we can see what it looks like on a digital clock.
Okay. Next piece of important information I see is he had spent 3 hours and 43 minutes there. Okay, so let's highlight that. What time did Theo arrive at the library? Okay, a couple of things that I recognize is it said that he came home from the library at 4:17 p.m. So that tells us that this is our end time. And anytime you see time written out like this, 3 hours and 43 minutes, that is your elapsed time. Next, we need to identify what is the question that we're being asked to answer, which is right here. What time did Theo arrive at the library? Okay, now I'm also going to highlight this word arrive because that tells us, having it be in the question here, that tells us that arrive is the start time that we're looking for. First thing we need to do is we need to write out our 3 number lines. One number line is going to represent our mountains, which will be our hours. One number line is going to represent our hills, which is worth 10 minutes. And our last number line is going to represent our rocks, which is single minutes. Okay? Now, since we're looking for a start time, we're actually going to start at the end of the number line and work our way backwards to find our start time. Okay? So we know here that the end time is 4:17 p.m. So let's go ahead and label that 4:17 p.m. Okay. We also know that the elapsed time is 3 hours, 43 minutes. Now what this tells me is that we're gonna have 3 mountains, we're gonna have 4 hills, and we're gonna have 3 rocks, okay? So let's do our 3 mountains first. Mountains always look like this. Okay, and it's always important that we label these also. Now, let's start working our way backwards until we get to finished with our hours. So 4:17 minus 1 hour is going to take us to 3:17. Minus 1 more hour is going to take us to 2:17, and minus 1 more hour is going to take us to 1:17.
Now let's go back to our digital and our analog clocks to see what that's going to look like. Now on our analog clock, we are going to actually be moving counterclockwise or backwards around the clock because remember we are subtracting time. So every time I get back to this 17-minute mark right here, we will have gone a full 60 minutes, which is 1 hour. 1 hour, which is 60 minutes. Another 60 minutes will make it 2 hours. And our third 60 minutes will make it 3 hours. And now, as you can see, our digital clock is showing 1:17 p.m. On our analog clock, our hour hand is between the 1 and the 2, so it is within the 1 o'clock hour, and our minute hand is still pointing at the 17.
So that's what we want to label our next number line as, is where we left off. So we're going to put that 1:17 here. Now, in 43 minutes, there are 4 groups of 10, so we're going to need to draw 4 hills. Again, we need to label. Okay, so 1:17 minus 10 minutes is going to take us to 1:07. Now, when we minus another 10 minutes, we need to be very careful because we're going to be going back into the hour before 1 o'clock. So 1:07 minus 10 minutes is actually going to take us to 12:57. Minus 10 minutes is going to take us to 12:47, and minus another 10 minutes will take us to 12:37.
So let's take a look at what that's going to look like on the tools that we have to use. 1, 2. Notice how we went from the 1 o'clock hour back to the 12 o'clock hour. Okay. Also notice how the hour hand is very, very close to the 1, but it has not quite reached it yet. That means that it is still within the 12 o'clock hour. 3 groups of 10 minutes, 4 groups of 10 minutes. Notice as we moved backwards in our hour, the hour hand moved closer and closer to the 12. So 12:37 represented on an analog clock, and 12:37 represented on a digital clock.
Now, this 12:37 is what we're going to label the end of this number line. Okay, and now in 43 minutes, there are 3 single digits there, so we're going to make 3 rocks. Again, we need to label. 12:37 minus 1 minute is going to take us to 12:36. 12:36 minus 1 minute is going to take us to 12:35 minus 1 last minute is going to take us to 12:34, and that is our answer.
Now we're going to use our available tools to prove that our answer is correct. So remember, we are subtracting time, so we're going to continue going backwards on our analog clock, and we need to go 3 minutes backwards. 1, 2, 3. As you can see, our digital clock shows us 12:34 p.m. Our hand is between the 12 and the 1. It's in the 12 o'clock hour. 30, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34.
We can now answer this question by saying Theo arrived at the library at 12:34 p.m.